Hey there everybody, today I have the Pablo Profundo Dive Watch. This came to me from Gnomon Watches. They are out of Singapore. I'm sure a lot of you watch collectors are familiar with them. You're looking at a price at $520, and what that's going to get you is obviously aesthetic-wise, this is a vintage Rolex sub-style design. And I'm really not going to... originally in my mind, when Gnomon Watches reached out and they said, they wanted to know if I would review this watch, I was like, another sub-homage, another vintage sub-homage. But over the years, I've done a lot of them, whether it be a Borealis, whether it be the Gnomon Watches that I covered, a few of their variations of the models. And I know that there is a good section or a good chunk of watch collectors that are like, oh my God, another sub-homage. And you know what? They are right to an extent. But on the other hand, if this design wasn't popular to keep making these... I guess we'll say clones of them or copies of them or homages of them, however you want to refer to it, then they wouldn't be doing it. It's the same thing with Panerai homages and how many of that cushion case is out there from Marinez Watches, this company, Maigret Watches, all that. So obviously this is and I agree, the market is absolutely flooded with this design. Now, your basic specs here are going to be, it has a sapphire crystal at a 28-24 automatic movement, $520 the price, 40 millimeters in diameter, 49 millimeter lug to lug, 12.75 millimeter stick, 200 meters water resistant. You have your 20 millimeter lug width, 6 millimeter crown, does have a 120 click unidirectional rotating bezel. C3 Super Luminova, and you have that old radium or vintage style lume here. So you're getting everything, you're getting a lot of watch for the money. I'll pick it up here, of course, in a minute and give you a good look around at it. But the market is definitely, obviously have the crown pulled out here to keep the hands there for a minute. But obviously, yes, the market is flooded with this, but they continue to still produce it. So the real question is how does this one stack up? Obviously, another brand that I didn't mention that does a watch very similar to this is going to be Steinhardt watches. Obviously, Steinhardt, very popular for doing their Ocean 1 series and many variations throughout all the years. They have definitely released a vintage version that looks very, very similar to this. Now, I have not seen that watch in person. I will say as far as... just look, I would say they're similar. For some reason, I want to say this one might be a little bit thicker. You have those polished case sides. You do have drilled lugs, which is always a nice addition. You're going to see you do have that rivet style bracelet. Now they are screws, so they are easy to size, but they look like those old rivet style bracelets. As I said, you do have that boxed sapphire crystal. You do have your unidirectional rotating bezel here, dive watch bezel. Now I'm going to tell you right now, going head on with it, it's very difficult to go ahead and turn. You kind of got to go at the side here to get that to rotate. Go ahead here. Obviously this is a no date. Go ahead and screw that large crown back in. You will see that you do have crown guards, so it is not like some of the vintage pieces, not a no crown guard type of deal. You do have crown guards there with that large style crown. Very easy to use them. As I said, you got that old radium style lume. I think for me, the biggest downfall for me of this watch is, one, with that box crystal, you're going to see a lot of reflection here. Now, of course, I got a ton of studio lights going on, blaring at it, but It says there's an underside AR coating. It just doesn't seem, you know, it's internal. Probably could have used another layer or two. Although a lot of times with these crystals, you're just going to get that kind of reflection. But you notice if I do lay it down flat like that, you do have a lot of good visibility. What I do like is the bracelet is all brushed. What I don't like about this bracelet is going to be this clasp. It tapers down to 16 millimeters. That's one thing I don't like. And the other thing is you know, yes, it is the nice butterfly clasp. It is a solid clasp. It's just, I wish for a dive extension on here. It doesn't have the flip lock on it. So to me, they cheaped out with the clasp there a little bit. Your case back here, if you could see it, you know, it has the number on it. It's very plain. You do have solid end links. Everything is solid on this watch. For the price, $520, when you price out watches in this style and this design, as I said, there's so many on the market. Steinhart, NTH, this one, that one. The Jeanneau is definitely in a higher price bracket than this. If you're looking for a Rolex Homage, if you're, you know, not wanting to break the bank, so to speak, if you're wanting a Swiss movement, this has the ETA 2824 automatic. It has a standard grade movement, but that you're still getting that. If you are looking, I would say that there are worse options out there. There might be slightly better options out there than this one. I really don't have a problem with this one though, except for that bracelet. But hey, you could always put it on a strap as well. Let me go ahead and show it to you on my 7.5-inch wrist, and we'll get you a lume shot as well. If lume is something that is very important to you, you will not be disappointed with the Pablo Profundo. As you can see, that C3 vintage style super luminova glows up nice and bright. Before I go ahead and get this on my wrist, yes, this is what I have been wearing. This is the Mito Ocean Star Captain. If you follow on Instagram, you've probably seen this a bunch of times, and probably you saw the IG, or hopefully you saw the IGTV video I did. I really am going to try and get that review on this soon, but long story short, I'm waiting on a new bracelet for it. Nothing exactly wrong. I'll get into that when I do the full review. It was something that I did, not a problem with the watch itself. This was a personal purchase, and because I have so many other watches to review, this one unfortunately does have to take a back seat. Give you a size comparison though here real quick. This is 42.5 millimeters. This is 40 millimeters. So just give you an idea there of size difference. I'll go ahead and wipe this crystal down that I got all dirty with smudges and everything. So here it is on my 7.5-inch wrist. You can see it is unsized. That is not a lot of room left over there. I don't know if you can order extra links from Pablo or from Gnomon Watches at all. But there is what it's going to look like if you have a wrist similar sized to mine or a little smaller or larger. Hopefully you can gauge a little bit. So normally I'm going to cut off the video, but I don't think there's a need. I think sometimes we get a little too fancy, or, you know, people love that fancy video editing. Not that we do fancy video editing here, because we don't. But I think, you know, I like cut it off here and I do it like that. It's like, oh my God, it's a review of a watch. Let's just concentrate on the watch and talk about it and get into it and everything like that. Now, for more, anything that I didn't cover here, you're going to want to check out watchreport.com. I'll have the link below. I'll have the link to Gnomon Watches as well. Now, one thing I do want to point out, if you see this and you only watch part of the video, you didn't watch it to the end, I know, you know, we all have short attention. Well, the camera actually did cut off there because I needed to free up some memory, as happens from time to time. But anyways, getting back to this watch, what I was trying to say was, if you don't watch this, if you didn't watch this to the end of the video, maybe you're coming back watching for a second time or whatever, because, or you're watching it later and you ran off and went to Pablo Profundo Watches, you Googled it and found their website, you're going to notice a price difference. A price difference of $100 versus the Gnomon website. I'm not sure why there's a price difference of $520 to $620 and why Gnomon Watches is cheaper. Obviously, you want to buy it cheaper. For anybody that hasn't purchased a watch from Gnomon Watches, they are an absolute reputable and trusted watch dealer. They carry lots of different brands. They offer worldwide shipping, and I believe most of it's all free worldwide DHL or FedEx shipping. So no issues there if you are ordering, if you're in the US, if you're in Europe, whatever. I'm not sure if there's anybody else who carries this. There might be another dealer or two out there. I'm only familiar. I saw it on the Gnomon website and, of course, on the Pablo website. Now, speaking of Pablo, before I cut off this video, who the hell is Pablo? I have no unearthly idea. Here's the thing. This brand just kind of popped up in 2018. I don't really know anything about them. They don't seem to have a strong marketing presence, whether it be on Instagram or Facebook or anything like that. So I really don't know who's behind the brand. I don't know if it's a factory brand. I don't know if it's Gnomon Watches. They didn't say anything to me when they sent the watch, and I would think if this is actually their brand, that they would have said that to me in some of the emails that we had. So I'm not sure. And that leads you to the question of, well, if I don't know who makes it or what's going on, what happens if something happens to it? What happens if the movement stops or breaks? Hey, sometimes this unfortunately is the case when dealing with some of these new brands, these micro brands, whatever, brands that, maybe only make one release, and then what happens, after the warranty period, during the warranty period, are you going to be able to get a hold of them or whatever? These are questions that I unfortunately just don't have the answers to with this watch and brand. So of course, buyer beware always. I will say, for the price and what it offers, not a bad watch at all whatsoever. The Lume is great. It does have a nice build quality to it. Let's go ahead here, give you a close-up look at that dial before I cut off this video. As I said, anything that I forgot here, I will have it on the full review at watchreport.com. If you have any questions, go ahead and post them below. But not a bad watch for the price if this is a style of watch you're looking for. But again, when it comes to this style of watch, you do have a lot of options out there. I hope you enjoyed this video. Talk to you on the next one.